Behind the clatter of dishes and shared stories lies an undercurrent of tension waiting to surface, as a diner becomes a melting pot of hope and skepticism. Familiar faces drift between nostalgia and ambition, while the looming presence of change draws lines of division. Can a shared cup of coffee truly pave the path to revival, or will it only brew dissent? Nestled amid rolling hills, the quaint town of Cloverstone, Pennsylvania, resonates with the rustic charm of days gone by. Its centerpiece, the Americana Diner, is a testament to faded glory, where chrome finishes gleam alongside walls adorned with sepia-toned photographs of smiling patrons long departed. Joe Benson, the diner's weary yet hopeful owner, stands behind the counter, hands wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee, gaze lost in the swell of nostalgia that envelops him. With each ringing bell from the door, he feels the weight of a family legacy pressing upon him, a legacy at risk as tables remain empty and bills pile high. Joe, sturdy and approachable, epitomizes the spirit of the community, hard-working, genuine, and connected to the very fabric of Cloverstone. Heart tendon twitching comes when he glances at his longtime customers, a mix of local farmers and grizzled veterans, all of whom have stories carved into their wizened faces. They frequent the diner not just for the food, but for the camaraderie. Their lives entwine like the vines surrounding the diner's facade. It is in this atmosphere of shared history and fading hope that an unexpected visitor arrives, one who stirs both anticipation and trepidation. Donald Trump, in all his charismatic glory, steps through the doors, and with him, a spark, a potential catalyst for transformation that leaves whispers of excitement and skepticism in his wake. As Joe Benson wiped down the counter of the Americana Diner, the familiar smell of frying bacon mixed with rich coffee filled the air. Yet the joy of these morning rituals felt muted. This quaint Pennsylvania town, with its brick-lined streets and the towering outline of the old clock tower, once thrived on unity and shared stories, but now hovered in the shadows of economic decline. His diner, adorned with photographs of smiling patrons and worn signs that told tales of laughter and camaraderie, felt emptier with each passing day. He glanced at the small group of regulars hunched over their plates, their faces etched with worry as they discussed their fields, once prosperous, now struggling. "Joe," called Earl, a local farmer with an oil-stained cap. "You heard the latest? Businesses closing left and right. This town's about to lose its spirit." With a heavy heart, Joe nodded, pouring Earl another cup of coffee. The doorbell chimed, breaking the tension as the phone rang. "Hello, the Americana Diner," Joe answered. The voice on the other end sent a thrill of disbelief racing through him. Word of Donald Trump's upcoming visit. "You're kidding, right?" Joe murmured, his heart pounding with anticipation and dread. Would this draw in crowds or push away loyal customers? With the community on edge, the stakes felt higher than ever, and a flicker of hope was just as frightening as it was thrilling. As the door swung open, a gust of wind ushered in Trump, shrouded in a faux warmth that settled uneasily upon the patrons. The initial excitement was palpable, settling on the shoulders of those who had dreamed of stirring change. "This is my diner now," Trump declared playfully, his voice booming within the walls decorated with nostalgia. Yet as he took a seat at the counter, a rift emerged among the regulars. "Why should we trust him? He's out for himself." A local farmer, Carl, spat out, his hands clenched tightly around his coffee mug. The fervor in his voice rippled through the diner, igniting a wave of agreement among some, while others shook their heads in disapproval. Joe stood frozen, unsure whether to join Carl in the fray or to reassure the newly invigorated patrons. "Guys, let's not," he attempted, his voice steady, yet wavering under the pressure. "No, Joe." Carl's tone was sharp. "This isn't just a photo op for him. It's our livelihoods at stake. Remember what he did with the tariffs? We can't afford to be blind to his policies." His brow furrowed as he glanced around, searching for allies amid the sea of divided faces. From the back, a war veteran, Mike, raised his voice, his eyes ablaze with passion. "Look, Trump may not be perfect, but we need someone who believes in us. Don't you all see that?" He gestured to the diner, the walls holding their history, their struggles. "He represents something bigger than just a man. He gives us a chance to be heard again." Tension filled the air, thick and tangible. Joe interjected, "Please hear each other. We all want the same thing, for our town to thrive." His plea echoed through the discord, but uncertainty clouded the room like the steam rising from a plate of freshly made pancakes. Would they bridge the gap or let it grow wider? As the diner filled with an electric tension, the clash of opinions ricocheted off the walls, amplifying the unease in Joe's chest. The local veteran Carl, his weathered face flushed, leaned toward Trump, his tone unwavering. "You say you want to help us, but what about all the promises? What good are words if they don't turn into action? We've seen our towns crumble, and all we've gotten are hollow reassurances." Joe felt the heat rising in the room, knowing he had to intervene. "Carl," he said, stepping forward, "I get it, really, but let's not make it personal. We're all here fighting the same battle." His voice trembled, laden with compassion and urgency. "This diner holds the stories of our struggles, but if we let our frustrations cloud the potential for unity, then we lose more than just a couple of meals, don't we?" Trump, sensing the tension but unyielding, stared at Joe intently. "Look, I know the government isn't perfect. Hell, I've made my mistakes too," he admitted with a hint of unexpected vulnerability. "But it's time for fresh ideas. I'm here now, and I want to rally support for the diner. You hold the key, Joe. This could be the spark we need for revival." As some patrons leaned in, sparked by renewed optimism, others scoffed. "You can't just waltz in and decide our fate," shouted Sally, a local baker, crossing her arms defiantly. "This town's more than a campaign stop." Caught in a vortex of contrasting emotions, Joe's mind raced. "What if we took this challenge and made something of it?" he proposed, glancing furtively at Trump, who nodded. "What if we asked the community about their needs? Actually listen." The room stilled, eyes shifting, weighing hope against skepticism. But would they dare take that leap together? Would they bridge the gaps? Or would the day only deepen existing divides? As the diner filled with voices of discord, Joe felt the weight of every glance, every hushed conversation prickling his skin. The air crackled with unresolved tension as Trump stood, arms crossed, regarding the veteran who had spoken with such fervor about forgotten promises. "You think I don't care?" Trump's voice boomed through the diner, but it was almost drowned out by the rising murmur of discontent echoing among the patrons. Joe seized the moment, stepping forward. "Listen, we're all struggling here. This town, my family's diner, it's not just about politics. It's about people." The room fell silent, every eye trained on him. "We've all faced loss, and we're tired of fighting while outside voices dictate how we should feel." There was a pause, a collective breath held. Joe continued, his voice steadier, filled with an urgent passion. "We want to bring this community together with our hearts and our hands. Let's turn this diner into more than just a place to eat. Let's make it a hub for revitalization." For a moment, Trump looked taken aback. Then a slow smile crept onto his lips. "So, what do you propose, Joe?" The challenge hung between them like a tightrope, fragile yet electrifying. Local markets, talent showcases. What if we leverage what we already have? Farmers can share their goods, musicians their songs. Joe glanced around, seeing the flickers of agreement. A nod here, a murmured yes there. "Instead of tearing each other down, let's uplift this community." Trump acknowledged him, eyes sparkling with prospect. "I'll rally for that," he declared, igniting an ember of hope in the hearts of the regulars. The diner buzzed with tentative excitement, a turning point carved from the wreckage of despair. Joe realized in that moment that rebirth wasn't just possible, it was already beginning. In the aftermath of that fateful day, Joe watched as the Americana diner flourished like never before. Patrons, once weary and divided, now gathered with renewed energy. The diner became a vibrant hub, hosting farmer markets, music nights, and discussions that united local residents. Joe's heart swelled with pride. He was no longer just keeping a family legacy alive, but actively reshaping his community. Through challenges, both personal and shared, Joe learned the importance of empathy. Conversations filled with respect and understanding replaced old disagreements. The veterans and farmers, once at odds, collaborated on projects to boost local sales, proving that hope could thrive even amidst dissent. As he served an extra slice of pie to a smiling veteran, Joe felt the truth of his experience sink in. Growth emerges from connection and resilience. He realized that real change flourishes when individuals unite. With each passing day, Joe embraced the promise of rebirth, knowing their journey was just beginning.